Okay, so let's start over. I'm upgrading my incarnate abilities, and they're enhancers, right? Okay, I just did the alpha, completed that one, and that was musculature. And I went with muscular radial paragon. I went with the one on the very bottom. This one here. They're all the same. The only thing that really differs is, the materials required to craft it. I don't know why they have so many. Most of them require the same thing. And if each one of these does something different, I haven't noticed. I mean, it's like for all powers, increased damage, immobilization, duration, defense, endurance modification, run speed effects by 33%, and debuff effects by 20%. So they all do the same thing. It's just okay. So I crafted this one, which had muscular total core revamp, and this one muscular revamp, radio revamp, subject. So this one requires the same stuff. So let's move on to the next one. What I was saying earlier, like I said, is if you're wondering what incarnates you need for your build, to start off, I would say go with whatever will benefit you the most. For example, if you have a large endurance drain, you might want to go with cardiac. The very bottom is reduces endurance cost by 33%. That's the very first one. And you don't have, once you craft something, you're not stuck with it. You can craft something else if it fits your need. All right, not a good example. Let's pop over to Hetch. See what he has. Incarnate abilities. Okay, alpha. Musculature. Oops, I don't want to equip. Here we go. Here's an example. Preemptive or degenerative. Now, I'm not sure what would be best for a radiation martial combat blapper. So I went with preemptive. Let's go over and look at that. Preemptive. That was interface. What does preemptive do? Okay. Adds an endurance drain over time and minor recovery debuff, 75% chance, and a moderate energy damage over time proc, 25% chance to most damaging attacks. If you're into procs, that's cool. I myself aren't into procs. It's, for example, this is why. There's a 25% chance out of 100% that energy damage over time will pop off. I don't know the math behind it. I don't know how they calculate that. It's 25% chance per second. Never did the math, never looked it up. But popping back over to Rage. So bottom line is go with whatever incarnate abilities fill the gap in your build. There is no right or wrong, just opinion. Go with what you like. If it doesn't seem to be doing what it does, what you want it to do, look at something else. You stop receiving Empyrean merits at 99 is when you receive your last one. This is an Empyrean merit right here. What does it do? Let's go to info. Okay, Empyrean merit. You have been awarded a reward token for completing endgame content. Imperium merits can be spent on various endgame rewards or traded for reward merits. What is it, like every 10 levels or so when you level up? I'm not quite sure. You get like a small stack of Imperium merits. And you can trade these to alts on your account. What's up, Skid Vicious? Every 3. Thank you for that. I wasn't sure. I've never actually stopped to monitor how often it was. Most of the time, I'm playing characters that have veteran levels far over 100. So every 3, as far as Skid Vicious says, every 3 you get a small stack of Imperium merits. And for crafting incarnate stuff, say when you get up here to the top, you need them for, you know, the expensive stuff. And when you come over to convert, let's go incarnate thread. Let's go, what was that one I was looking at? Favor of the well, that's a shard. Let's go favor of the well, favor of the well. Yeah, let's look at the shards. Very rare. Favor of the well, you need 2 notice of the well. So you can go to your Imperium merit. I think you can craft. No. You cannot. You can only do things for threads. Don't quote me though. So you need 2 notice of the well. There's incarnate content that you can get a notice of the well from. Off the top of my head, I can't think of what it is. I'll have to look it up later. So for notice of the well, you need drop of the well, incarnate infused nictus, you know, infinite tessellation, and that's those are uncommons. So basically, just craft all of these to do this one, but it's going to cost you 12,500,000 influence. If you're a farmer or you've been playing for years and you just have stacks of cash, not a big deal. And it's going to take so in the Incarnate Shard 40. Then you need one of these drop the well, so you have to go back here. And so you need it. Each one of these requires one of the lower level materials to create. It's just easier to do incarnate thread, in my opinion, because you just use incarnate threads. And then if you want to craft to favor the well, lots of favor the wells, infinite tessellation. Okay, say Atomic Resonator, you want one of those. That is very rare. It's down here. It's going to cost you like 100 million influence plus whatever the cost for to craft each one of these other ones, like ancient text, exotic isotope, those are rares, and then you need some of the other ones. Or you can just come over here to Imperium Merit, go to very rare, and then you just create it. It'll cost you 30. If you plan it right and you save your Imperium merits for only these expensive ones, you should be able to craft tier 4 incarnates by time you reach vet level 99. Am I pretty close on that, Skid? I've never actually tried to explain it, but I have friends and stuff who are asking me about it. It's like, most of the time I'm just playing a guessing game. But bottom line is, go with whatever fills whatever gaps you have in your build to start. And then once you get better, if you slot enhancements at all, or if you go with sets, you'll find out what weaknesses you have in your build. If you're going through endurance really fast, as you increase your recharge time, if you have haste, you're going to burn through endurance faster. But it balances out with sets. It really does. But still, if you have like, a build like mine that will go through endurance while you're standing still, you might want to do something like use cardiac. I didn't, because this is a copy of a build on my primary tank, and I know that once these start hitting tier 3 and tier 4, the build will start balancing out as far as its energy consumption. So let's move on. I use musculature, and I just finished that one. So what's next on the list? Let's go with judgment. Judgment. Now there's cryonic, which is like a cold hold, long range cone, extreme damage cold. Ion is a popular one. Let's go over here to Magnus Hitch to see what he has. Alright, so he has tier 4, and he used Ion Radio Final Judgment, and that's a chain ranged AoE. It does extreme damage, energy, has a very long recharge time. What it does, it drains endurance and debuffs the recovery of affected targets. Has a chance to hold targets in an electrical field, like electrical cage, I think the power is. Electric cage, or, I'm guessing. I'm sorry. I've never used an electrical power. But it's a cage hold. But it'll hit up to 40 targets. And if you're farming, that's like, what? Easy 3 mobs if you position yourself right. So I don't need to craft one of those. But you have Mighty as well, which is, it does extreme smashing damage, causes massive knock up to affected foes. Pyronic I see a lot of. It's a fire. It's a wide-ranged AoE, extreme damage fire, recharged very long, has a chance to disorient foes affected by the blast wave. So this does extreme negative energy damage. And then Vorpal is smashing. It's self plus defense all, recharge very long. This power does not require a target when used. It will hit in a cone in front of the player, regardless of what entity is currently selected. So if your target is behind you, it'll, long story short, it'll fire the direction your character is facing. But it has pretty cool defense all. It's a nice one. But I like Ion, especially Ion Radio Final Judgment, because it has that chance to hold, and it hits 40 targets. For the other side, hits 40 targets, but it won't hold. It does pretty much the same thing. Extreme damage, energy, has a chance to do additional damage to all foes. So it's a toss-up between if you want to do extreme damage with extra damage, or if you want to do extreme damage with a chance to hold. I like the chance to hold. Simply, easy explanation, if they can't attack, they're not hitting you. But this one would definitely do more, be more effective in taking down your targets and your groups if it's doing more damage. Do I have both? Ion Core Judgment. I think I was like working on crafting the other one, not sure. So moving on to the next one, We have interface, and I use preemptive core. I think I touched upon that briefly. And your options are cognitive, degenerative, diamagnetic, gravitic, paralytic, preemptive, reactive, and spectral. I have a couple tanks that use reactive. What it does is adds a damage resistance debuff proc, 75% chance, and a moderate fire damage over time, 25% chance. That's on the left side. Right side is adds a damage resistance debuff proc, 25% chance, and a moderate fire damage over time proc, 75%. Spectral. I think a lot of people will choose your interface for a theme. Really, spectral, if you're a ghost character, you might want to do this one. Say like immobilization proc, they are in such fear of you that they can't do anything. So yeah, if you want to roleplay it, nothing wrong with that. So it does immobilization, 25% chance, negative damage over time proc, 25% chance. This is all proc, and to most damaging attacks. You just build up. Once again, like I said, it requires materials. These materials here, genomic analysis, enchanted sand, and supercharged capacitor. You come over here, thread. Those will all be common. So, and I'm using preemptive. Adds a endurance drain over time and minor recovery debuffed, 75% chance, and a moderate energy damage over time proc, 25% chance to most damaging attacks. That's tier 4. So each tier offers a different effect. So this is basically a recovery debuff of 25% on tier 1. Tier 2, left side, adds an endurance drain over time and minor recovery debuff, 50% chance to most damaging attacks. Preemptive radial is recovery debuff, 25% chance, and a moderate energy damage over time proc, 25%, and it changes per level. So the right side, because I'm using the left side, and it does, like I said, recovery debuff, 75% chance, and a 25% chance for damage over time. The right side adds an endurance drain over time and recovery debuff, 25% chance, and a moderate energy damage over time proc, 75% chance to most damaging attacks. So I don't need to upgrade that. Diamagnetic is a decent one. I have one of those. Adds a hit debuff proc, 100% chance. I mean, who doesn't like to not get hit? And a regeneration debuff proc, 50% chance. So this one goes off, and they're not hitting you. And there's a 50% chance that they're not going to regenerate when you hit them, which is pretty cool. Degenerative, I also have that one. Adds a negative max hit point debuff proc, 75% chance, and a minor toxic damage over time, 25% chance to most damaging attacks. Most entities in the game have some weakness to toxic as well as psionic damage. So this is almost a worthwhile one to take. Then cognition to confuse for psionic. I think I have this one on my mind side dominator. That was interface. So I can do either or, which is, this is ageless, this is melee. Next one. Let's go robotic drones. Let's do ageless, actually. That's Destiny. So you have, see, I touched upon this earlier, ageless, barrier, clarion, incandescence, and rebirth. So ageless is a good one to have, say like if you're farming. It's a wide point blank area of effect, ally plus endurance plus recharge rate, recovery. So it'll boost your endurance, your recharge rate, and your recovery. So it's good for your endurance. And make sure your cooldown's shorter. The continuing buffs from this power will gradually lose effectiveness over time before they expire completely after 120 seconds. So 120 seconds is 2 minutes. And the right side is Asia's Radio Epiphany. Wide point blank area of effect, ally plus endurance, recharge rate, debuff resistance. So this will buff your endurance and your recharge rate, and it'll debuff the resistance of your targets, which is pretty useful. If you have one that will debuff, say like a radiation, this will actually work well with radiation. See, radiation has an innate effect that will debuff the damage. See, this attack can bypass some defenses and can reduce the target's defense. Excuse me, dry throat. So ageless pairs well with radiation because the ageless will reduce the resistance, debuff resistance, as well as debuff defense. So those two pair really well. Although I picked the right side instead of the left. Why did I pick the left side? Endurance, recharge rate, recovery. Oh, that's right, because she has a big gaping hole in her endurance. Okay, that's Destiny. Now, if you're an avid missioner running task force, things like that, you might want to take barrier for missions. And if you're doing like large stuff like a mothership raid, or that's the MSR, or a Hamadon raid, you might want to take barrier, or most likely clarion, I believe it is. Okay. One of these has, maybe it's incandescence or rebirth. Rebirth is ally heal plus max hit points, recharge very long. Alright, no, I'm not a, it's incandescence I was thinking of. It's a team teleport or league teleport. So if you can teleport your entire league to, your location, which is useful to have if you're doing like an MSR or a Hamadon raid. That's very useful. I see a lot of people doing both barrier as well as incandescence. Let's look at Clarion. Clarion is point blank area of effect, ally status effect, protection. It has a very recharge. All these will have a very long recharge. Okay, it applies an incarnate shift. Now, I'm inclined to say you only cap out. No, I was on Magnus Hedge, yeah. So I'm on Magnus Hetch now. I'm looking at his build. Robotic drones. I have completed tier 4 on everything. One of the questions I keep asking myself is like, okay, Magnus Hedge is a blaster. Do I want Assault for a blaster? Because he's a blaster. This is what a blaster should be using. But he's primary melee. He's a blapper, so he's in the mobs, in the group. So what I did is I took melee. It just made sense at the time. But you can also do control if you're a controller, or support. You don't have to be like a defender or a controller to take support. If you're doing a lot of like farming and stuff like that on teams, or like doing mothership raids or Hamilton raids, it might actually behoove you to do a support core. Support. So provides a small boost in damage, accuracy, and defense all, and is special to all league mates within 50-foot radius. So it's very useful to have. But we're not talking about Magnus Edge, we're talking about Rage of Artemis, who I'm trying to upgrade. Okay, so I did Alpha. Back and look at Alpha again. So she's done Alpha, do Judgment, Ion. Goodness, has a long way to go. Which one do I want? Which one do I want? Chain ranged AoE extreme damage. I'm expecting a delivery, so I had to check on its status. It hasn't shipped yet. All right. It doesn't matter what side you do. To some people it does. One thing you need to note is that you need to note the requirements for, say, like this one right here, Ion Core Final Judgment. These two right here are what comes before. You can either do one from each side. It doesn't matter. If you do one from each side, then you have to do one from each side. But when you create the next tier up, see, when I create this one, it'll consume that one. And so I'm looking at the Ion Core Final Judgment. I want to craft semi-conscious energy. Okay, done. Detailed reports and meditation techniques. Detailed reports, meditation techniques. That's done. Once you craft the requirements, it'll unlock, and then you just hit create. There you go. So that one's done. Let's go ahead and craft this one. So I need to do up from the bottom. Nanotech growth, medium, supercharged, and detailed reports. Nanotech growth, medium, and supercharged. There, that one's done. You go here. Biomorphic goo, detailed reports, and worn spellbook. Worn spellbook, and my memory just quit. Yep, wrong one. Biomorphic goo and detailed reports. Biomorphic goo and detailed reports. That's done. So we go over here and craft that, which will unlock that one. Then I need ancient text, meditation techniques, and biomorphic goo. Biomorphic goo, meditation techniques. And this will be the next one, rare. Okay, ancient text. Ancient text, so I need a Empyrean merit. Ancient text. There we go. Done. Okay, so I did the 2 on the one side rather than, 1 on each side. So then I need thalamic resonator, meditation techniques, and genomic analysis. Up here. Genomic analysis, meditation techniques, and here's a little trick. If you click on one of these, say the one you're crafting would be Ion Core Final Judgment, which is this. If you click on that, you can pop around to the different tabs and it'll automatically go there. And if you hover your mouse over, it'll tell you what each one is, so you don't have to change. But when you change the tab and then come back, it will have reset to the top. Nope, I lied. I'm wrong. 2U2? So who? A hootie 2U2. Hey, what? Say what? So after roughly 2 years of me messing around with this streaming stuff, I actually succeeded in uploading my very first video yesterday. And it's so bad. And we had mission teams, we had PvP teams, what was I doing? And thalamic resonator, and I don't have enough threads to craft that one, so I'm going to use an Empyrean merit. And it's done. So we just come back over here and we slot that bad boy. And once you craft a new item using the one you previously had, you need to reslot that. So you come into, well, you could actually do it here if you like. There you go. Rather than go into your powers and scrolling around, try and find it there in the drag and drop. And it's just as simple as drag and drop. Did interface already. Interface, diamagnetic. Adds a hit debuff proc, 50% chance, and a regeneration debuff proc, 100% chance to most damaging attacks. Let's look at the left side first. All right. Genomic, enchanted, and supercharged. Genomic, enchanted, and supercharged. So I don't do the left or the right. Adds a debuff proc, 50% chance. Alright, that's a to hit debuff proc. And a regeneration debuff proc, 100% chance. Whereas the left side is the flip. To hit debuff proc. Do I want to get hit less or have them regenerate less? Do 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 do. All right, let's do. I guess it just comes down to personal preference. Do you want to get hit more or less? I'm going to go with the right side so they regenerate less. Gluon, Detailed, and Arcane. Gluon, Compound. Semi-conscious, biomorphic, and detailed. So a friend of mine who I trust, Agent Liger, who's a friend of mine, I've been playing with him for years, suggests the left side. Degenerative. So he's using degenerative on his character. Let's have a peek on what he's playing. Agent Liger. Oops, global friends is a scrapper. What does degenerative do? Adds a negative max hit point debuff and a minor toxic damage over time. I might have to pull that up. All right, so let's go ahead and okay. Go here, open. Radeon drive, modified current build. Use running powers and interface. Interface, use paralytic. Doesn't sound right. I don't think I have updated that build. So let's go and pop. Radeon drive open. Yeah, so Agent Liger checked out the video I uploaded yesterday to YouTube. It was my first video. I mentioned that already. Okay, so I think I went the wrong route. I'm not quite sure, but Radeon Drive is using preemptive. So let's go ahead and look at that other Radeon Drive build. So I'm looking at the current build. Let's look at the modified. Paralytic. All right. Semi-conscious energy. Biomorphic goo, detailed reports. Biomorphic goo, detailed reports, and that should... Boom. Self-evolving ally. Oh, it's a very rare. Supercharged capacitor, enchanted sand. Oops, great. Nope, that's enchanted sand. And I forgot. Next one. Oops, I am there. Supercharged capacitor. I know it don't look like I know what I'm doing, but I really do. So, Mr. Agent Liger commented on that they did a remake of the Naked Gun, or not a remake, a new Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. And I saw the trailer. I haven't seen the movie yet, but it shows him undercover, right? And he's going into this bank with bank robbers and hostages and stuff like that. And his undercover disguise is this little schoolgirl. She must be about like 8 or 10 years old, right? Walks in there, and one of the bad guys says, "What do you want, little girl?" Or something like that. And he says, "To kick your ass," as he turns into himself. And oh my goodness, Liam Neeson in a schoolgirl uniform. What a riot, because that's a big boy. What is it, 6'4" or something like that? But yeah, he's played a lot of tough guys. I like his ability to do funny roles because he is pretty large and he can be menacing, but to see him do silly stuff is just an absolute riot. Okay, so what was I doing? Okay. Diamagnetic. Go through these. Destinies. Ageless. I need you ageless. Self-evolving alloy and biomorphic goo. Alright, don't have enough Imperium merits to do that one. So that's good. I do look forward to seeing the new movie. I think he's like supposed to be like the son of the cop in the original Naked Gun. He said we are finished upgrading our not our enhancements, our incarnates. Don't have any salvage to sell. So we're discussing about Liam Neeson in the new Naked Gun. Is like I said, he can be menacing, and he's often played the tough guy and stuff like that. But he can do silly, and when he does, it's kind of like a head scratcher, and you think, WTF? What the hell? What the fuck did I just see? What am I looking at here? Excuse my language. I do apologize for cussing, but it helped get the point across. So when he does silly, it's a head scratch. It's like, what am I looking at? That's Liam Neeson. He's not supposed to be looking silly. I fell out of my chair when I watched that trailer with him in that schoolgirl outfit. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I am done upgrading my incarnates. I can't do them all. Oh, wrong one. But I believe I got most. So let's go ahead and... So look, Alpha was musculature, tier 4. Ageless. Okay, I need to do ageless. Okay. Interface. Lore. I'm not so concerned about lore. I always forget to use it. What is my lore? Lore. It's polar lights. Yeah, I definitely need to work on that one. Judgment is ion. And hybrid. Melee. So I'm halfway there. I've got 3 that are tier 4 out of 6. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong screen. I want to go into powers, combat attributes. Let's close that. Let's scroll down to level shift 2. Now I do question the cap on that level shift, because I have a couple characters that are maxed out, have capped out all of their incarnate abilities, tier 4. Everyone, should be like level shift 5 something like, but it caps out at 3, because I've never seen it go higher than 3. So that's my take on it. And so that is me doing incarnates. Any questions, hit me up.